Today I want to talk to you about the different investment strategies I use to save for retirement and plan for a successful financial future. I'm hoping that these different approaches will be beneficial to you as you look at all the various options that exist today and how you can plan for tomorrow. The first strategy I employ when it comes to investment is investing in what are called index funds. Now, an index fund is something you'll hear me speak about frequently, but basically what it is a group of stocks that mirror the overall stock market or a specific index such as the S&P 500. Now, when you invest into a group of index funds, what you're doing is you're going to receive the same return as that index or as the total stock market. For instance, if you invest in the total stock market index fund, as the stock market goes up, your value of your investment will go up. If your stock investment goes down, then you're going to find your investment will go down as well. The benefits of using an index fund is that it's fairly automated and streamlined and doesn't require you to constantly change or adjust or put all of your hopes on one specific individual company. The average rate of return when you look at the historical trends of the stock market is that over the last 100 years, the stock market in the United States has returned approximately 7% on an annual basis when you adjust it for inflation and have the dividends reinvested. What that means is there are going to be some years when the stock market is high and other years when the stock market is low, but when you place your investment into the entire index or into the entire stock market, you're giving yourself broad diversification and placing yourself in a more, I would say, financially conservative to a little bit more of a simple approach to your own financial investment. I find this to be fairly easy for myself as someone who didn't understand finances growing up and who grew a little weary when it came to what do I do to even get into the stock market. So index funds are a very valuable tool that I believe anyone can jump into. It doesn't require much experience. The main things that you want to look at are when you go to a company to go to invest into an index fund is that they have low expense ratios and don't charge you significant fees. And generally speaking, because you're going into an index fund, you're not paying a specific stockbroker to pick stocks for you. Generally, those fees are lower. There are certain companies that you can look at. One would be Vanguard. One thing, I do not get any compensation from them or anything to that effect, but basically they offer the options of a stock market, a total stock market index, the S&P 500 and international, as well as a bond index. So you can find the different ratios that work best for you. Warren Buffett generally recommends that individuals would put 90% into stocks and 10% into bonds. So that's what I personally do. And I want to be really clear that this is not financial advice. This is just me sharing the strategies I've employed in my life, which have been very fruitful and beneficial. So when it comes to investing in index funds, there are a myriad of options outside of just going into, say, Vanguard, although that is my preferred alternative. If you like to keep things fairly simple on your phone utilizing an app, there are a number of apps out there. For example, if you were to look at something along the lines of Wealthfront, Wealthfront is basically a robo-advisor or Betterment or some of these other ones out there, where basically the advisor will take care of all the work for you, and generally what they do is take your investments and go into an index fund. Now, if you just go right to Vanguard, it might be a little bit simpler for you. But all that being said, number one strategy for myself when it comes to investments is investing in index funds. And this also applies to how you invest in your 401k as well as your Roth IRA, that you take those investment vehicles and go into an index fund. Now, second investment, which I believe is a very strategic approach, is investing in real estate. Now, if you have the option to invest in real estate, I think it's a worthwhile long-term investment that does have the ability to produce some great returns. Although it does require a bit more capital and a higher credit rating to be able to even get into that type of investment. However, when you invest in real estate, you have to place much more effort and much more time into that. And there are various options you can go about doing so, but I would really suggest that you take the time to understand what is needed in order to strategically place your investments into real estate, such as buying a property that's undervalued, then being able to rent that property out for a longer period of time, and then approaching your investment in such a way where you're not expecting to make a quick return, but something where you know over the long haul it'll be worth your investment. Now, another investment approach, which I think that many people have the ability to do, but it's something that is not necessarily for the broader market, would be actually investing in individual stocks. Now, I know there are various companies that many of us associate with, and we think, oh my goodness, I want to invest in Amazon or certain stock that we see as doing very well at a certain time. Generally speaking, unless you have significant understanding of the stock market, this is something you might want to refrain from doing, as historically it's been proven that choosing an index fund will generally outperform just selecting individual stocks, because by going for an index fund, you're investing in an entire group of companies versus placing all of your hopes and aspirations on one company. And with how quickly the economy changes and shifts and how quickly businesses become obsolete or they grow, going into one individual company is generally a bit more of a risk. However, with risk comes reward. So if you want to invest in stocks, there are a couple applications you can look at. WeBull is great. If you invest just $100, they will give you the option to get 2 free stocks, one that's valued up to $1,400. There's a link in the description that you can check out about that. But generally, you'll find that if you want to go ahead and actually invest in individual stocks, you have plenty of options out there. You just want to do your research and try and understand that there's going to be a bit more market volatility when you place all of your money into one individual company. If you're looking for another option when it comes to investing, and something that I would suggest no matter where you are at a financial perspective right now, would be looking at a high interest savings account. Now, many different companies offer this, and basically what you want to do is find a safe bank where they offer a high interest savings account. Now, this is something that should preferably be above inflation. And for those of you who do not know what inflation is basically the value of the dollar that depreciates every single year. For example, a dollar today might only be worth 98 cents a year from today because the value of that dollar depreciates due to inflation every single year. Therefore, if you just have money sitting in your bank account, you want to make sure that it is growing at least at the rate of inflation, so that way when you take that money out later, it's the same value of a dollar at that time. So if you just have your money sitting in a normal savings account, it's probably earning something like along the lines of 0.01% or even lower, and I would suggest looking at getting something like a high interest savings account. Once again, when it comes to different savings account, that was usually tied to the interest rate associated with the Federal Reserve. So it's going to fluctuate a bit. For instance, not too long ago, I had a Wealthfront cash savings account, and having my money there, it was up at 2.5%. But the Federal Reserve has cut rates recently, so now it's down to 1.5%. And that's going to be an example you'll see across the board, different companies offering different interest rates. And what you want to do is at least make sure that you're getting above a 1%, preferably 1.5 or 2, but it's going to be determined by the market conditions and how the economy is doing at that time. But at least you're placing your money into something that is providing somewhat of a return. So I would say that's a safe approach to take, especially depending upon where you are at in your own financial journey. If you're just getting started, that's a great place to store some money where you will accrue interest, and interest is a great thing because it's basically your money making money for you with actually no risk at all when you place it into an interest savings account along those lines. When it comes down to going for individual stocks or savings accounts or placing your money into an index fund or investing in real estate, there's a great investment that you can do right now, which I believe is something that I have found to be fruitful in my own personal life, and that would be investing in yourself. Now, investing in yourself is something that requires a bit more methodical approach and finding ways that you can bring in additional income, but I would suggest looking at what you're currently focused on. For example, there was a period of time when I served as the elected city clerk for the city of Oceanside, California. I was the youngest elected official in San Diego County history, and I got elected when I was 25 years old. Serving in that position, I found that those positions can pay significantly more than the elected position that I was in. At that time, it was making a lower salary, but they offered positions that were offering closer to a six-figure salary for an appointed position versus an elected position. However, instead of an election where you just need to get elected, to get one of these positions, you need to get appointed and you need to have a certain certification. So I decided to take that opportunity to invest in myself by investing in earning what's called a Certified Municipal Clerk designation from the International Institute of Municipal Clerks. By earning this certification, it enabled me to take a position that paid six figures. And by taking that position on, it basically enabled me to have more money to invest and more money to save and provide myself with a more financially secure future. So all that said, when you take money and invest it in yourself, you're going to get the greatest rate of return because there's options for you then to bring in more income as you invest in yourself. And I believe it's important as well from a personal development standpoint that we never become stagnant or stale or complacent with how we're living and how we're operating. I believe it's really critical that we continuously place our resources and our attention into ourselves so that way we can go and make a difference in society. And then in doing so, we make a positive impact on the lives of others. So all that being said, when you think about investing, think about it from a monetary perspective when it comes to investing into index funds or investing into real estate or investing into a high interest savings account or placing money elsewhere that you could consider when it comes to individual stocks if you have the necessary experience. But don't forget to invest in yourself, because if you invest in yourself, you're placing a bet on yourself. The risk is much lower because you know how much you're willing to put in order to achieve the goals that you've laid out before yourself. So I think that that's something that you should really strongly consider. I know it's something I've considered ever since I was a young kid, even until this very moment as I'm talking to you now. It's so important for us to continuously try to find ways to improve ourselves professionally, personally, and holistically, so that way we can become more productive, but also that way we can live a more purposeful life and make a positive impact on the lives of others. With all that being said, thank you for taking the time to watch the episode today. If you have any questions, comments, or want to dive into deeper detail on any of the topics we discussed today, feel free to comment below. I'd be more than happy to interact and answer any of the questions you might have, and also create additional content that could be helpful for you. So I really appreciate you taking the time again today, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Have a great day.